All right, I think we're about to go live here. It's always a little bit of a delay, but Jerrad Havens here, CEO of Credit Life and your financial freedom strategist. And today I wanted to go over a strategy that I've been doing a lot with clients recently. This can be specific to a business owner with an operating business, okay? And so a lot of times when I'm working with business owners, they're coming to me, they're seeking additional capital, they're trying to figure out hey, I'm in a position of either growth or I want some more resilience, or there's an opportunity that's presented itself, and they want to see what's available to them when it comes to business funding, whether it be a business term loan, SBA loan, maybe a line of credit, things like that. And if we have a little bit of time, like if you foresee yourself wanting to take advantage of additional business capital in the future, this is something that we should connect on right away. In fact, you can do this yourself, what I'm about to explain. So think about it like this. When you apply for a business loan, you'll see that, and if you've gone through this process, you know what I'm talking about. A lot of times they're going to ask for either 3 or 6 months business bank statements. That's more of the standard. And really what they're looking at there is a few key things, but the most important is when it comes to your receivables or your deposits versus expenses. And there's going to be a gap there. You want there to be a gap. You want to show that you have a certain number of deposits, in most cases exceeding $10,000 or more in deposits, and you want to keep your expenses lower to create that gap between expenses and deposits. So one thing that I do with clients when we do a review, for me, a lot of times I'm doing pre-underwriting before we even submit an application at all when it comes to a business loan. One thing that I'm looking at there is to see if there's any opportunity based on those types of expenses that you've been accruing throughout the month that we could then move that over to, let's say, like a business credit card, especially if we have a business or access to a business credit card that has like a 0% introductory term, whether we apply for one or you recently acquired one or have one. And what we can do there is create what's called a delayed spend. And so especially at 0%, we're creating a delayed spend at 0% where we can begin to maneuver expenses over to that business card. And what that ends up doing for your business bank statements over time is now we're able to create a wider gap between deposits and expenses, which then allows you, when it comes to the perceived risk and what you can afford, basically, you're showcasing the ability to handle more when it comes to that line of credit or that business loan. And so that's something that I do often with clients. I think that gets overlooked quite often by people and business owners. They don't necessarily know what they're going to be looking for. That's a big one right there. So that's going to be the first thing that we want to analyze is how much of a gap is there between deposits, expenses, and is there a way that I can widen that gap by creating delayed spend through a business credit card, ideally at 0% introductory between 12 and 18 months. That's a perfect strategy that we can execute on. That's really going to put your application, your future application, in a much better position to qualify for more money and typically cheaper capital. So that's one thing. Now, let's say you're a business owner and you know that you want to apply for a loan in the future. You're going to be executing what I'm talking about right now, but you don't have a business credit card. So the one thing that I recommend, and I do this for my clients, is if you have an online credit monitoring platform currently that provides FICO 8 scores specifically, we're going to take a look at that. Now, if you don't have that, then what we can do is create a free Experian.com account, just the free version, and that does include the FICO 8 score for free, along with a credit report just with Experian. So what's nice about that is we can get a gauge of where you're at. Experian is a very commonly used bureau in the world of business finance anyways, and it'll let us get an idea of where we're at currently for FICO 8 score, which is also used quite commonly in business credit applications. And we can also take a look at the credit report to see if there's anything there that would be considered perceived risk. Recent bankruptcy filing, are there charged off accounts with higher balances, things like that. So we can kind of do an audit to see, are we in a position to qualify for a business credit card at 0% financing? That's ideal. And so those are some things that you can kind of take a look at right now. If you know you want to apply for capital here in the future, make these adjustments now. And if you have questions and if you want to connect with me, feel free to reach out. We can do a discovery session. I can get a better understanding of what's going on with your business, what you're trying to accomplish, your growth trend, what you're looking to do. And then from there, do an audit of financials. Not like a CPA. I'm not here to do your taxes. It's not what I do. It's more about like, what can we do to strengthen your overall entity to get access to better, more, and cheaper capital? That's where my expertise lies. So hopefully this information helps. Wanted to just do a quick educational video, and have a great Monday.